Hi everyone. In this video, we will be learning about how to patch an APK using objection, which is underlining using the FreeDAS gadgets to patch the APK. Okay. So the first question will be like why we need to patch the APK, right? So sometimes what happens is the app will only work on the real device, right? It won't work on emulators or any other Genymotion or something like that, right? But a real phone is required for that, and it only works on non-rooted devices, right? So rooted device is not an option for that. There can be multiple things like if someone doesn't want to root their device for security purposes, right? Sometimes they don't want to mess with that rooted device, or the application is not working on such rooted devices, some kind of things, right? So what we can do in such cases, we can patch the APK. Now there are multiple scenarios. Sometimes like a non-rooted device want to give you the access to the application files, which is resides under data folder, right? So that can be a question. Sometimes the application doesn't have a like backup enabled, right? So which can also be a bottleneck, right? So there can be multiple things which comes into the mind that why we need to patch the apks, right? But the real thing is you don't want to root the device and you want to run the application on non-rooted device. All right. So what we have to do is basically we need to just use objection to patch an apk. Now objection has a patch apk, uh, you can say command, which basically does certain things. The first thing is it detects the architecture. We will see when we run the patch apk command, we will see what it does. So it basically first of all detects the architecture of the android device using the adb, right? Android debug bridge. Then it just unzips the apk which is passed as an input. Then it will check that whether the android.permission.internet is there. So it is a must that application has like must have scenario that application has android.permission.internet. If it is not there, what objection will do is it just rewrites the android manifest.xml file. Then objection identified that the first activity launched from the android manifest, and it just injects the feeder gadget into the constructor. Okay. So it's a simple thing. There is you can say underlining documentation available, as you can see the on the screen, that what is going on underlining and what are the requirements for this. So objection page for objection page apk command, uh, it wraps the several other system commands, right? So these are the dependencies which are required to run this. Okay. Now let's see, let's do a demo and see how we can proceed with this. Okay. So the first thing will be, so the first thing is objection patch apk. Okay. So here just a small spelling mistake. Hyphen s is basically the source of the application. So I have already downloaded the application. So as you can see over here, and this is the application which we are fiddling with. So dream 11 application is there. The apk file I have, you can say, retrieve the apk from the device itself. Okay. So uh, simple commands, objection patch apk, hyphen s is the source of apk, hyphen d, or we can also use skip resources. So sometimes what we will have to do is just skip the basic resources which we don't want to decompile and recompile again and again, right? And with this skip resources, we need to add a, you can say, another parameter which is called ignore native lib. So uh, which doesn't touch the native libraries. Okay. So simple commands, we just need to run it. And as I mentioned earlier, it will just get the architecture and then just identify the gadget which is compatible with this, right? Then it just unpack it and checks for the permission, internet permission. So this application has the Android permission, so it doesn't want uh, the objection won't go to the manifest file and change it. Now target class is not specified. We can also specify the target class into the command itself, but it will identify by default, right? So injecting into a custom constructor, which will be the last step. Okay, it will change the smiley. It will change the smiley code. It will just yeah, read a gadget is loaded. It will just simply copy the gadget into lib path and rebuild the APK using APK tool, right? And it will sign the APK for us. Okay, so basically it will do all the stuff. It will automate all the stuff. Now if you go if you just check it, you will see an application like this. Okay, now let's install this into our device. Meanwhile, we will just check it that the FreeDA server is not running, so that we can be sure that we are not dealing with a rooted device kind of stuff. Okay, so I'm just doing a DB shell and checking for the FreeDA server. Okay, so if FreeDA server was running, it will be shown over here as an process as we seen earlier. Okay, so now we already installed. All right, now if we want to check that whether our injection is successful or not, okay, so what we can do is we just it does several things. First thing is we will be just keeping a notice on ADB logcat. Okay, so ADB logcat, and I am just fetching for FreeDA. Let's see. So there are multiple already there are multiple things regarding FreeDA, but a particular string will be there. So whenever we launch the application, it should be there. Yeah. All right. So this is the log, as you can see. All right. So this log suggests that the FreeDA is listening on this particular IP, which is the device IP. It's a local host and TCP port 27042. All right. So as we know that FreeDA by default runs on 27042. All right. Now what we can do is we just simply check the ADB shell. Okay, for uh, listening sockets. So what we will do. All right. So there is ADB shell, which is netstat. It's just a netstat command. We are checking for the sockets, and if we run this command, we come to know that there is indeed a socket enabled. Okay, which is listening. Now, now we can also use FreeDA-ps to check whether the FreeDA gadget is created and created a listening socket on the device. Okay, so let's run the FreeDA-ps grab gadget. So by default, it won't give you the application name, but we can just see with this gadget. So this suggests that the process is running. All right. Now, what we can do is basically just run objection explore. Once we run the objection explorer, we come to know that this is dealing with this Dream 11 application. All right. So now simply we can just import any of the Frida scripts over here. For example, I will just import universal SSL check bypass script. Okay. And once we just use it, we can load anything, right? We can load any script over here once we have this things are running. All right. So yeah, this is the way we can be able to use the objection to patch an APK which can be run on non-rooted devices. So we can do similar things on IPA files, which is used for iOS. So we can also patch the IPA using objection. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you for joining. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you.